Across the entire political spectrum, Americans are finding rare common ground. They do not want their every move tracked by government surveillance cameras. And the fight is just getting started. Flock Safety has been quietly installing automated license plate reader cameras on street corners across the United States. Each camera photographs passing vehicles and feeds that data into a searchable national network now used by thousands of law enforcement agencies. The result is a near-ubiquitous surveillance infrastructure that can track where you go when you go there, and who you visit, all without a warrant. A military.com article published July 24, 2026 by Adam Graemgner documented the growing backlash against this technology, noting that opposition to Flock is cutting across political lines in ways that have become increasingly rare in American public discourse. Chad Marlowe, a senior policy counsel at the American Civil Liberties Union, who leads the organization's national work on Flock-like technology, described the coalition to military.com. Libertarians see Flock cameras as the government intruding on private lives. Supporters of the MAGA movement view the technology as hitting directly on their concerns about the deep state. Traditional conservatives see it as counterintuitive to small government principles. Progressives point to the vulnerable groups that surveillance has always targeted first. And centrists simply find it offensive that a system tracks everywhere everyone goes, even if they are not suspected of a crime. As Marlowe put it, all these groups are arriving at the same conclusion. Mass government surveillance is out of control and needs to be reined in immediately. An Acclu lawyer told military.com that this national display of public unity on the issue is very inspiring and refreshing. The Acclu position, as articulated by Marlowe, is that people all over the country are opposed to mass government surveillance, but for different reasons. The key insight is that Flock cameras have become one of the few technologies that can unite libertarians and progressives, conservatives and progressives, MAGA supporters and establishment figures around a shared privacy concern. That is remarkable in a country where divisions are pronounced and agreement is minimal. Despite the growing controversy, the company at the center of it all has been notably quiet. The article notes that repeated efforts by military.com to attain comment from Flock Safety received no responses ahead of publication. No public statement, no press outreach, no engagement with the concerns being raised about the technology they have deployed across the country. This silence from Flock, a company whose business model depends on expanding its surveillance network, has only fueled the perception that they are prioritizing growth over accountability. One commenter on the original Reddit post pointed out that municipalities are already switching from Flock to Axon, which is not necessarily better. Trump purchased $5 million worth of Axon stock earlier, which adds an interesting layer to the story. Axon is already well known for police body cameras, and the transition from Flock's license plate readers to Axon's surveillance ecosystem could mean even more data collection with potentially less oversight. Axon also owns a subsidiary called Bus Patrol, which puts Flock-like cameras on school buses. Originally, these cameras would only record when the stop arm on school buses was extended, primarily to ticket people who do not stop. But as one commenter noted, they have recently pivoted to have the cameras recording all the time, meaning that what started as a targeted tool is now becoming another piece of the broader surveillance infrastructure. Commenters on the original post identified a pattern. There are more of these surveillance companies out there, and they will soon change their names and logos to confuse the public. One commenter called it Hydra Logic cut off a head and two more grow back. When you have multiple companies offering the same surveillance technology under different brand names, it becomes harder for communities to recognize and resist the pattern. The Axon acquisition of Bus Patrol, for example, has confused many people who thought they knew what they were getting into. The fight over Flock cameras is being won and lost in city council meetings and county board meetings, not in federal courts or Congress. As one commenter pointed out, it is our local taxes going towards paying for the cameras. The suggestion from multiple commenters is to form a neighborly coalition and speak out as much as possible during local government meetings, where leaders are deciding whether to deploy or expand these systems. Another commenter argued that instead of targeting individual brands in an endless war, communities should create and adhere to a basic privacy rights policy that simply outright bans these systems from their neighborhoods. The story of flock safety and the pushback against it is a story about surveillance technology outpacing democratic scrutiny. A company has built a near-ubiquitous national network of license plate readers with relatively little public debate, and now Americans of every political stripe are waking up to what that means. The Acclue lawyer's comment about this being inspiring and refreshing is telling. It is rare for the political left and right to agree on anything, let alone to unite against a common concern. But as more companies like Axon enter the space, and as the technology becomes more pervasive, the question becomes whether that unity can be sustained long enough to make a real difference at the local level where these decisions are actually made. The fight over flock cameras shows that privacy can unite America when surveillance crosses party lines. But as more companies enter the space with confusing names and expanded capabilities, communities need to act now at the local level before the infrastructure becomes permanent. Thanks for watching Orbit Reports. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the technology reshaping your world.